Welcome to episode 15 or 50 Beyond Social Media Show. We should have a big celebration, but BL and I have been so busy during the week that we didn't plan anything for our big 50th episode, except all this great content that we got coming. So, as you know, every week we discuss the worst cases, the best cases in online communications, and we talk about some shiny new stuff and wrap it up with the daily numbers. BL, you have the honor, as always, to start it off with the worst cases. Now, several episodes ago, many episodes ago, I brought up Gwyneth Paltrow, and you sort of scratched your head. What is Gwyneth Paltrow doing in this show? Now it's my turn to scratch my head. What is Gwyneth Paltrow doing in the show?
Well, when you brought her up, it was about her conscious uncoupling. And, I wondered about that. But apparently this week she's been having a little unconscious tweeting. And she just did something truly stupid. She she was at the Code conference in California, and she compared her lifestyle brand, Goop. She was there to promote her lifestyle brand, Goop, and she said that when you have trolls on the internet and they say horrible things about you and your friends, it's very dehumanizing. She said, it's almost like how in war you go through this bloody dehumanizing thing and then something is defined out of it. Well, then there was a Green Beret who said, you know what's really dehumanizing, Miss Paltrow? The fact that you'd even consider that your life as an A-list celebrity reading internet comments could even compare to war and what is endured on the battlefield. Let me be the first to burst your bubble. A long line at Starbucks, your driver being 3 minutes late, a scuff mark on your $1,200 shoes, and a mean tweet do not constitute difficulty in the eyes of a soldier. That's from this You Can't Make This Shit Up department, because I don't believe she apologized.
Yeah, well, she sort of is the poster child for clueless celebrities, right? Yeah, you don't go making those types of comparisons. I did see that Senator John McCain's wife, who does a lot of work with veterans, has invited her to come and visit with veterans and everything. I don't see that she that she took her up on that yet, so we'll see. But very, very sort of amusing and interesting and clueless development.
Completely clueless. And then, as far away as you can get from that, again, in the You Can't Make This Stuff Up department, there's a company called Happy Junk, and you all remember Fresh Breasts from a couple of episodes back. Well, now this one's for men, and it's got a priceless video for their product, Fresh Balls, which comes in a 2-pack. We'll put the link to the video in the show. It says, for the first time, there's a product that prevents wetness and uncomfortable feelings of sweaty, sticky, or itchy groin area. Okay, done.
How do you go into start a business like this? Seriously, look yourself in the mirror.
Don't ask them. I mean, I guess it's in stores. I haven't really gone to look for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, Dave. You do one.
Okay, so I haven't got a specific example, but it's something I've been thinking about for a while now. Marketing personas, right? So marketing personas have been around for a long time, but with the emergence of content marketing, they've evolved to become much more sophisticated, from sort of the demographics and psychographics and lifestyle one-page descriptions of your ideal customer to going beyond that to examining technographics, media consumption, generational dynamics, the lifestyle indicators, of course, and people's passions, fears. I mean, you really get into the head of your target audience and understand what they're, by doing so, understanding what their content needs are, what they're searching for, and map that all to the buyer's journey. So a very, very sophisticated process of developing these marketing personas. You spend countless hours developing them, right? You give them a name, you give them a photograph, you introduce them to your company, and everybody reads them once and then sort of goes back to work and forgets about them. And they get reduced to a label within a content marketing system that people sort of apply to pieces of content. So it's sort of like, you're a proud parent. You've spent all this time raising your child. You send them out in the world on their first day of school, only to have a horde of zombies come out of nowhere and tear them apart, rip their guts out, eat them alive, and in turn turn them into the Walking Dead, right? Present, but not alive. So how do you keep your marketing personas alive? Especially now, the whole point of it really is to get everybody thinking about who you're communicating with in an organization, especially a large organization. It's hard to do. So I think I've got some solutions to this.
Let's hear those. I'd like to hear that.
So one idea I think is sort of go back to Dickens, where he wrote his novels over a period of episodes, right, over a serialization of the stories. So write regular short stories starring the persona in everyday life, and it can illustrate issues they encounter during regarding your business, like researching a new business solution. You could include it in your company newsletter over time so that people always pay attention. If you put it in story form, it's going to be more compelling. People are going to pay attention to it, and it's going to be absorbed more. They're going to be thinking about it more. Another version of that, multimedia version, is sort of webisodes. So you do short interviews or episodes, dramatic episodes that illustrate your persona in everyday life, how they search for your products, use your website, check email at home during the busy hours, sort of showing them in instances of where they're interacting with your company. And then finally, social media presence. Create a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever makes sense for that persona, presence online. And if you think about how you use Facebook, really over time, when you follow your friends and family, over time, bit by bit, status update by status update, content update by content update, you get to know those people much more intimately than you would if you're talking to them on the phone once a week, right? So if you do that for your marketing persona and just put them in the situations that illustrate your business challenges, then I think you probably have a better chance of keeping that persona front and center, top of mind among all the people that need to be do so. There's a lot of time and investment involved in that, of course. It's labor intensive, so it's something you need to consider, but it's something I've been thinking about.
Well, Dave, in an ideal world, all of that would be what you should do, but I've worked at 2 big agencies, and one of them was the biggest, and what I saw over and over and over again was so-called brainstorms where people who knew nothing about whatever it was you were talking about would get together and recycle the same old ideas over and over again, and then they would turn around and they would come to the social media people or the digital people, and they would say, add something social. I call that slide 29 syndrome, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon. People are, in big agencies, they are not rewarded for that type of innovation. I'm sorry, they're just not. I think in a smaller company, all of those things would give you a real leading edge and would make you, golden. But good luck with getting that happening in a big company.
Well, increasingly it's going to have to be driven by actually data-driven decisions, right? About what is prove your point, right? In the case of yeah, you would hope. Yep. So another one, and I'm stealing this from you, BL, apparently, because you had it in and I didn't see that, so I'm gonna steal it anyway. Mary Meeker, of course, came out with her State of the Internet annual State of the Internet report, and anybody who knows it knows it's just gold. There's tons and tons of data in it, and everybody devours it immediately. It's hundreds of pages long, whatever, blah blah blah. She, of course, is from Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield, and Byers. I usually just call them Kleiner Perkins, but apparently there's a couple of extra names in that company's name. Some stats from the report: mobile data traffic for this year. Some stats from the report are mobile data traffic is accelerating, up 81% year over year, thanks to video, where mobile is now 22% of consumption. 66% of U.S. tablet owners are surfing the web while watching TV. 44% are shopping. 52% of ESPN's digital users access only on smartphones and tablets, representing 48% of the time spent. So it is just a goldmine. It's wonderful. So why am I giving it all this praise and it's listed under our worst categories?
Yeah, why?
Because it's a design atrocity. The design of the presentation itself is just junk. It looks like crap. It's got all these Excel designed graphs and everything, all great content, but really hard on the eyes. So Business Week this week asked a presentation designer, Emilian de Kuber to rework the slides. So the cover introduced a dark background, white, he says, is the harder to read on big conference room screens, and reduce the number of different colors to create visual consistency. It's kind of amazing how ugly that presentation is, given how many years that it has been released and how much play it gets. It's huge. So why not spend a little time designing it so it looks nice?
This is one of my pet peeves in life. You know, I mean, the design manifesto is something that I really have always wanted to write, because there's no real excuse, given the tools that are available to everyone. There's no real excuse for not having decent design, simple design. And PowerPoint, you know, PowerPoint should be abolished from the earth. It really should. But, I mean, her PowerPoint had 165 slides. But still, no matter how you look at it, no matter how horrible it may look, it is absolutely remarkable data. And it's, you know, it's a must-read kind of thing. You absolutely have to pay attention to it. So I'm talking about paying attention to things. While we were in here before the show, we noticed that there was someone called Anonymous Hyena in the document with us. And it turns out that you better check your Google Drive settings, folks, because we had it set that anybody with the link could have a look. And so I don't know if it's a Google joke. If it is, it's so funny that I forgot to laugh. But Google found a funny way to show the anonymous persons who open your documents in Google Drive. So instead of different colors for each person, you see each person associated with an animal, like anonymous anteater, anonymous moose, anonymous chupacabra.
Yeah, chupacabra! Right.
Anonymous gopher, anonymous jackalope, and they have special icons for each animal. And there it was, right in our document, anonymous hyena. As soon as we went, "What's that?" it went away. So check your settings. I changed ours. So. Isn't that funny? I mean, really. So, okay. In terms of best of, you and I disagree on this one, but why don't you talk about what you think is so great about LinkedIn?
All right. So, I am a big LinkedIn fan, so I think that's where we disagree. But we'll see whether we disagree on the specific point. LinkedIn publishing, of course, has been around for a while. They started out by introducing it with influencers, Richard Branson type of influencers, right? Huge, big brand name brands. And letting them publish, basically blog on the LinkedIn platform. Now they're rolling it out to everyone. I finally got my invite last week, and so I tried it out. I wrote up a 15 minute, took 15 minutes to write up what my ambivalence toward LinkedIn publishing, right? But I posted it, and I posted on Thursday, and here's what I've learned. It has SEO potential. The title that you create for your blog post is included in the title tag and the URL keywords. The URL structure uses LinkedIn.com, and it has a date and a timestamp. It has a unique ID, but it also uses the keywords of your title in the URL. So that's a SEO indicator. The first paragraph of copy applies to your meta description, so you want to consider that when you're writing your first paragraph. It also is used in Facebook, Google+, Twitter descriptions. They do use Facebook Open Graph and Twitter card coding in the code, so it uses the first Twitter account you have listed on your profile for that coding. It renames uploaded photo files, so if you upload an image to it, it's not going to retain the keywords that are listed in that file name, so you don't get that. It does pull those uploaded photos into social shares, though. And the links are do follow. They're not no follow links. They're do follow. So you can use that for SEO as well. It's got basic save, preview, edit after publishing features, basic formatting. You can use H1 through H4 tags. You can embed iframe code, so you can embed video and embed SlideShare presentations. And then the analytics, which they promised are, well, they're what you might expect. You get a view count, which is whatever that means. It doesn't give you anything more than number of views, so I guess somebody could come to the page and leave a half second later and it'd still be counted as a view. It gives you a number of likes, it gives you comments, it gives you social shares, but it only counts the shares that were initiated from the page. So I noticed it didn't count the Twitter shares that I had tweeted out for my post. So my results posted on 3 p.m. on Thursday. I had 3 immediate comments to the post. I have 560 plus views as of today. 5 Facebook likes. I'd rather they have shares rather than likes, but obviously they're not trying to promote Facebook, so we don't get that. 3 Google Plus ones and 12 LinkedIn shares. I did gain some followers. It does show up in Google. I think it's it's so far so good. The link shows up on your profile, so it's a good expert positioning thought leadership tool. You think about how people use LinkedIn, they're sort of task-oriented. So if they go to your profile, it's there to be seen. So I'm so far so good. I'm ambivalent about whether you want to post all of your content on LinkedIn rather than on your blog and your owned platform. So there you have it.
Well, you convinced me that it's worth trying. I mean, I did also put a post or 2 there, and I did not follow up to see what happened, to be honest, because when I every day get all of these, because you're a person I trust, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn, and, you know, these drive-by recommendations from people who don't know me, I find it really hard to take the platform seriously. So I'll take another look at this, because what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and, you know, I do not post my original content anywhere first. I put it on my blog, with the exception of Ad Age, but I put it on my blog first because that is my real estate. It is the only real estate I will ever own, or any of us will ever own, and so that's where I go first. And excuse me, I'm dying of a cold and I have to cough.
Good. Well, while you're coughing, I'll agree with you there. I think what I'm going to try and do is find a way of using it to drive content, drive people to my own platforms, right?
That makes sense. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of things do. So in terms of really wonderful things that happened in social media this week, a group of 4 Canadian teenagers used social media, Facebook in particular, to find a kidnapped baby. And what happened was somebody posing as a maternity ward nurse walked into a Quebec hospital and took a 16-year-old infant from the mother, saying that she needed to weigh the baby, and instead she walked outside to her car, and it had a baby on board sticker, and she drove off, and the parents, of course, were beside themselves, and the police issued an Amber Alert, and the Amber Alert went on Facebook and Twitter, and 4 teenagers saw the alert on Facebook, found the apartment, noticed that the car was there, and that somebody was home, and they called the police, who broke down the door and rescued the baby. So the infant, whose name is Victoria, was returned unharmed to her parents. And the police officers cried, the nurses cried, the investigators cried, the doctors cried. Everybody was so happy. They were all weeping. And the 21-year-old kidnapper is undergoing a psychiatric evaluation.
Wow.
Isn't that mind-boggling?
That's a horrifying and fabulous story at the same time.
That they did that. I mean, they endangered themselves by doing that. And yet, had they not done that, who knows what would have happened to the baby? You know, wow. Absolutely incredible. Like, great kids. And the other amazing thing that's been happening, and I hope it's coming to a city near us anytime soon, is hashtag Hiddencash, which is an anonymous donor who drops $100 around San Francisco via tweets. And so who is this guy? He was interviewed in San Francisco Gate, and he said, I just closed a real estate deal where my profit was $500,000, and I decided I wanted to do something with the money. And there's a few reasons I want to keep my privacy. And one of them, which is my favorite, is I've had some publicity and nothing good ever resulted from it. And he said some people close to me wouldn't like that I was giving money away. So he said he really has no agenda. It's not political. It's not business. It's not religious. He said other than he wants to bring people together in a positive way and make people smile. And you know, I'd be smiling if it was in New York.
That's very cool, but I would advise him that if he wants to maintain his privacy, giving away money probably is not a good way to go about it.
Well, you know, he puts the money, he hides the money, and then he does the tweets. But I mean, years ago, I did the world's first online treasure hunt. I did it for Budget Rent-A-Car, and we put money in 16 different cities, and you had to find the money with clues, and that's what he's doing. You know, he's having a treasure hunt, and I got to tell you, people came on roller skates, they came on bicycles, they walked, they took buses, they teamed up, you know, to find the money. Boy, that money was found faster than you know, you can say, where's the money? And that's what's happening here as well. And, you know, how nice, how sweet. I love this man. And if you want to marry me, consider that a proposal. So the other good thing I want to say, and a little bit of shameless self-promotion, is that on Monday at 9:15, I am producing a virtual field trip for several fifth-grade classes in Kentucky at Stevens Elementary School. They're going to be in a Google Hangout, and they're going to be talking with the inventor, co-founder of the company Natural Machines, which makes Foodini, which is a 3D printer for food. And it's all about using healthy ingredients to print food. And so the kids are fascinated by the fact that the inventor is an entrepreneur and an inventor, and they have come up with questions that they want to ask her. So it'll be streamed live on YouTube. The links will be on the Stevens Elementary School page on both YouTube and Google+. And it's kind of a first, so very exciting, and you know, all of the teachers are really jazzed, and we've been practicing Hangouts all week, and this is going to be big fun. I hope you can join us. It's 9:15 a.m. on Monday, June 2nd.
Very cool, very cool. Is it going to be archived as well?
Absolutely. It'll be on Stevens' YouTube channel, and it will be on their Google Plus page, and I'm not sure if they're planning to embed it on their website, but they may.
Awesome. Well, let's follow that up next week with a link to the archive as well, so people can see it if they missed it. Speaking of education, then let's roll into the shiny new objects. I've got one real quick one related to education. Last week I shared a couple of shiny new objects that indicate sort of the privatization of education. Here's a resource, Coursera, COURSERA.org, is a resource of free online courses from top colleges. It's sort of like, it's the web version of iTunes University. And it's just amazing how much is out there, how much by professionally developed educational resources are out there. You've got the world at your fingertips. Just look for it.
Even Columbia University has online courses. I mean, you know, every institution has had to begin to join this wave, and I guess that is what you'd have to call it. It's pretty remarkable. So I don't have anything that lofty, but I do have one that's pretty wonderful, and it's called Cruelty Cutter. And it's from the Beagle Freedom Project, which is a remarkable, absolutely remarkable project. Beagles are used in research for consumer products, unfortunately, and medicine, even though that is no longer necessary. They are used because they are such sweet creatures, and they're so forgiving, and they're so kind. And so there's a Beagle Freedom Project, because many times after these animals who have spent their entire lives in cages have finished whatever it is that they're doing with them, they kill them. So this project takes them out and finds homes for them. And, you know, there's a video online of several of them seeing the outside for the first time in their lives. Well, so there is a Cruelty Cutter app for your phone, and you can scan products to find out whether they test on animals, and you can share the results with friends in social media. And it's to help collect data to show these companies in the future that the public doesn't want to support companies that continue to use animals when not necessary. But what is so fascinating to me about this organization is it's not confrontational. It's not saying, you know, we're never going to do this and we're going to fine you and we're going to boycott you. It's saying when it's not, we understand that sometimes you have to do this, but at least treat the animals humanely. At least have a heart about the animals that are sometimes giving their lives to you. So crueltycutter.org is where you can learn about this. So on a much lighter note, Google Hangouts have some Easter eggs. There's a lot of Google Easter eggs around lately. Those engineers are so funny. But they have hidden features that you can put into your chats on Google Plus, and they're in the Chrome Hangouts extension. So you can you can do /ponies, and a herd of ponies will go across the bottom of your chat screen, or /bike shed, SHED, and it changes the background color as many times as you do it. Or you can make shy dinosaurs, or you can make a horde of crazy people going across the bottom. And you know why? I don't know why, but that's what they do.
I want to see the shy dinosaurs. That's
They're hilarious. They're really adorable. I mean, I have to say, Anonymous Hyena was kind of cute, too.
So let's wrap this up. I got the daily numbers for this week. Top sources of industry news among executives. So this more often applies to B2B companies who are trying to reach the elusive executive, right? They're busy. They often have a gatekeeper who sends them information. They're not as active online given the demographic. Typically, boomers and older Gen Xers who are less likely to be online than millennials and younger Gen Xers. So this is data from a survey from Quartz. Quartz is a online business-oriented publication of 940 executives that were sourced from the Quartz audience and via their partner channels. Interesting stats here. So this is top sources of industry-specific news, and that's industry according to the individual executive that was surveyed, right? Their industry. So to keep up with news in their industry, executives rely heavily on email newsletters, general news sites, and industry-specific news sites. So 55% got news from general news sites, 55% got news from industry news sites, 56% got news from email newsletters. 24%, I found this interesting, 24% got content produced by companies in their industry, while 31% got content produced by individuals in their industry. That tells me they're following thought leaders, they're following experts, they're following bloggers that are related to their industry. So there's an interesting insight that I haven't seen before. And then how are they consuming their news? You'd think traditionally, given the demographic, they're probably getting in newspapers or a TV, Not so. 2% get their news from TV. 3% get their news from print. 4% get their news from radio. 30% get their news on their computer. 41% get their news on their phone, and 20% get their news on their tablet. They are mobile. They are mobile enabled. So make sure that content is mobile friendly.
You know, I'm surprised about the newsletters because I am a compulsive newsletter subscriber. I get a tremendous amount of news from newsletters, and I put a newsletter out on a regular basis. What I notice about the newsletter is that the same people are always the first to open it. The same people are always the first to click through the links, and you know, clearly they are reading it. And I read. There are many that I do read, but mostly I use my newsreader and I scan because it's just too much content out there.
Right, right. Well, I think with a newsletter, what the trick is making it scannable, making it the headlines eye-catching, linking to the headlines, because really they're not there to read the email newsletter so much as to scan it and then click on links, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the other thing is, you know, TLDR, too long didn't read. I mean, who has time to read 2,000-word blog posts? Nobody. Stop writing them. That brings us to the end of another episode, of the 50th episode of the Beyond Social Media Show. I can't believe we've done that already. And we were doing it on Blog Talk Radio before that. Anyhow, you will find the video time-stamped on our Beyond Social Media Show blog and on our Google Plus Beyond Social Media Show page. You also will find it on our YouTube channel, the Beyond Social Media Show YouTube channel. You can find David Erickson at @DErickson on Twitter. He is e-strategyblog.com, eStrategy eStrategyTrends.com. Is that correct, David?
eStrategy Trends, search for it. Yep.
eStrategy everything. David is very prolific as a content producer. And you can find me. I'm at What's Next on Twitter. I am at what'snextblog.com. I write for Ad Age Digital Next. And I have started a new company, Maximum Plus, which is about all things Google events and training. And we'll see you next week for episode 51. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.